Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, with Super Tuesday voting underway, people in Virginia make their way to the polls to pick their choice for president. Plus, 5 people are dead after a plane which made a stop in Kentucky crashes in Tennessee.
Plus, wet weather will stick around through midweek. Your forecast coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Today is Super Tuesday, the biggest day of the presidential primary season so far, with hundreds of delegates up for grabs. On the Democratic side, President Biden faces 2 challengers and continued resistance to his handling of the Israel-Hamas war. Last night, former President Donald Trump swept the North Dakota GOP caucuses. For his Republican rival Nikki Haley, it is a make-or-break night amid growing GOP calls for her to drop out of the race. Well, more than a dozen states participate in Super Tuesday, including our neighbors in Virginia and Tennessee. WYMT's Buddy Forbes popped over to the polls in Wise County, Virginia, to check out the voter turnout.
Super Tuesday is bringing out Virginia's voters.
Well, this is where it starts. You get the right people on the ballot, and it's much easier to vote in November.
Taking their priorities to the polls for the primary election.
I think everybody needs to get out and cast their, vote. And we're just hoping the right one gets in there.
Poll workers say they were unsure what to expect with this year's voter outcome.
We have had early voting for 6 weeks, and we were really disappointed in the numbers, but today's been very good.
Fred Bevins says he has been working elections for 2 decades, and with an increase in voter turnout, he has also noticed another increase.
So I think the increase in the younger people, you see a lot of younger people coming in, I think more so than you did maybe 30 years ago.
John Cawthorn worked his first election Tuesday, and he says he would like to see more young people at the polls, saying everyone who can should cast their choices.
Well, it's your voice. You can either vote in the primary and choose who you want to vote for in November, or you can not vote at all and let somebody else make that choice for you.
Still, they hope an increase in interest for the primary could also mean a greater turnout this November.
We need to be able to make a choice in who we have running the country and running the, even the local elections. And I think people need to have that's just one of the fundamental rights of citizenship.
Encouraging people to take their values to the voting booths. In Wise County, Virginia, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
The polls close in Virginia at 7 o'clock. While Kentucky does not take part in Super Tuesday, the Commonwealth does have a primary election on May 21st. The last day to register to vote for that primary is April 22nd. Now, CBS News will have a primetime special at 10 o'clock with the latest results, and of course we'll have the very latest Super Tuesday results tonight at 11. Well, many voters made their decisions before today through early or absentee voting. Let's take a look at the early and absentee voting numbers for Tennessee. More than 270,000 votes were cast throughout that state. A little more than 1,800 voters submitted their ballots in Claiborne County alone, and more than 700 votes were tallied in Campbell County. Well, even if Americans don't agree on who to vote for, most say they often feel exhausted just thinking about politics. According to a recent CBS News poll, more than 40% of voters feel a rematch between President Biden and former President Donald Trump will be depressing. Arthur C. Brooks is a Harvard professor who studies and teaches courses on happiness. He says if politics makes you angry or upset, take more control over the situation.
When your political involvement is all about watching cable television and screaming at the TV or writing on social media, it's actually incredibly disempowering to you. The most important thing that people can do to feel like they're more empowered when they don't like what's going on is to get involved at a local level.
Brooks adds, when you disagree with a friend or family member, be curious to find out why they think that way instead of just brushing their ideas off. The State of the Union provides President Biden an important opportunity to address the nation in an election year. That happens on Thursday. The president is set to share his thoughts about border policy. His immigration policy is often under attack, of course, from Republican lawmakers. As Republicans point to executive action they want him to take, he points to immigration reform he's been pushing and a recent bipartisan deal that would have provided the border with more funding.
They desperately need more resources. They need more agents, more officers, more judges, more equipment in order to secure our border. Folks, it's time for us to move on this.
President Biden has accused Republicans of using the border to score political points and says if they really wanted to improve the situation, they would work with him on a solution. Independent Senator Kirsten Sinema of Arizona has announced she will retire at the end of her term this year. Sinema said she is retiring due to growing partisanship and mudslinging in Washington. After her switch to an independent, she continued to caucus with Democrats. During her time in the Senate, Sinema was a high-profile and influential figure, often brokering a compromise between Democrats and Republicans.
We are tracking some wet weather on this Tuesday evening. The good news, no severe weather, but you will see a few showers at times up on First Alert Pinpoint Doppler. Zooming into a few heavy rain pockets in Prestonsburg, also pushing into portions of Pike County, also for portions of southeastern Floyd County. Also a heavier rain pocket not too far away from McGoffin County and Salyersville. A few more light to moderate showers in the Cumberland Valley from I-75 and Rockcastle County, pushing into Laurel County, also down into Willie County at this hour as well. And a few more light sprinkles pushing into Pulaski County. Here's a live look from downtown Somerset. That current temperature sitting at 61 degrees. And again, we are above average on this Tuesday again, but cooler weather is on the way by tomorrow thanks to an increase in those rain chances, also an increase in those clouds. Sitting at 70 in Pikeville, 71 for Clintwood, 69 for Jackson, 65 over in Irvin at this hour. If you have those plans this evening, be sure to have the umbrella close as more off and on showers are on the way and some widespread rain chances are on tap on Wednesday before a little bit of a drying trend by Thursday, but that is short-lived as more showers are likely by Friday, also to kick off this weekend. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. 5 people, including 3 children, are dead after a plane crashed along an interstate near Nashville, Tennessee. The plane originally left from Canada but stopped at a central Kentucky airport shortly before crashing. According to FlightAware, the plane, a Piper Saratoga, originally took off from a town in Ontario, Canada, then made a stop in Erie, Pennsylvania, before going to Mount Sterling, Kentucky. The pilot reported engine and power failure issues, but ended up crashing before they could make an emergency landing in Nashville.
Kind of horrific looking, and then as I was coming closer and closer to the flame, it exploded, and there were people trying to get closer to, right before it exploded, they were trying, people with flashlights, and kind of go up to it.
Our sister station WKYT reached out to the Mount Sterling Montgomery County Airport about the situation, but they say they have no comment at this time. At last check, the names of those who died had not been released yet. A Kentucky man who was one of the first to break into the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, has been convicted. A federal jury found 46-year-old Michael Sparks of Elizabethtown guilty of multiple felonies and misdemeanors. The charges include obstruction of an official proceeding and civil disorder. Sparks was seen on video leading the charge into the Capitol, smashing windows and arguing with police officers. His sentencing is set for July 9th. An Air Force employee has been charged with sharing classified information on a foreign dating website. David Franklin Slater started working at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska in 2021. Prosecutors say Slater shared classified information about military targets in Russia's war against Ukraine and Russian military capabilities relating to the invasion. Franklin reportedly shared the information with a person claiming to be a woman living in Ukraine. Lawyers defending former President Trump in the Georgia election interference case want to take another crack at DA Fani Willis. Defense attorneys are asking for more evidence to be allowed. They say they have 2 more potential witnesses who could clarify under oath a timeline on the relationship between Willis and attorney Nathan Wade. According to the lawyers, Willis and Wade were already involved when she hired him to take charge of the Trump case. Well, Donald Trump is asking for a discount in his E. Jean Carroll defamation case. Trump lawyers say the $83.3 million jury award to Carroll far exceeded other verdicts and should be lowered. Judge Lewis Kaplan is currently weighing Trump's request to give him more time to post bond on the award settlement. Carroll opposed that request. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, we'll have more on the anniversary of a march in Frankfurt today.
And a soggy and gloomy Wednesday is on the way for tomorrow. Your forecast after this break.